Hello folks, it's a new season. Spring is coming on and so are the flower buds for seeds on these Trident maples. Lots of flowers here. If you remember, this is one of the hair layers that I took off of my big tree that's in the ground, along with the air layer right here. And as you can see, they're prospering, and this also has flower setting, and you can see the bees pollinating, and everything looks pretty good. But I'm not going to talk about setting seeds on. I'm going to talk about kind of the end process. What do you do with the seeds after they do come on? Well, right now, and today is March something, I don't know, 12th, and I've got a chiller with thousands of seeds in it that's beginning to sprout. So let's go over here and take a look at these sprouting seeds, because what we're going to do today is plant these seeds as they're sprouting so that we can get seedlings like these. These are seedlings that I started from seeds off of my tree. You can probably see the large uprights over there. That's where I collect most of the seeds and all of that. That's 1,000 or so seedlings in trays right there. And here we are. So we're gonna see how we go about processing these seeds that are sprouting. So give me a second and we'll collect those seeds. Okay, here we are collecting the seeds, and it is imperative that you keep a gallon of orange juice in the same fridge as your seeds. Yeah, I'm full of beans. I was just kidding. Angio weeping. I looked at these already today, and they're sprouting. These are seeds from Angio weeping maples. And these are seeds from the ball cypress, which we'll get to later. And these are the ones that we want. So let's go. I'll give you a quick look in the bag, and those are not maggots. Those are the new root forms starting to extend from the capsule. Now, since we're right here, let's just talk about this. In planting these, now that I've inspected this, it's been probably a month since I really looked, and I had a few that had sprouted, but with time and other things I had going, no time to plant these out. And I wanted to do something different from what I've done in the past as far as planting these, in addition to planting them close at hand. I've got a planting bed way in the back 40, and yeah, I'm old. So as you can see, these seeds are just sprouting out, and there are no leaves, okay? The baby leaves, the initial leaves, or the false leaves, are not on these yet, okay? So you handle these and the seeds with leaves on them differently. If the seeds are progressed enough where you see the false leaves or the initial leaves, you have to plant those. For best result, you have to plant those individually. Well, guess what? I'm not going to plant, several thousand seeds here. That's just this bag. I think there's two more bags. So let's see. That's about 3,000 seeds there, as I just divided that up real quick and estimated. So you're talking about 9 to 12,000 seeds right here in this alone. Yeah, that's a lot of work if you're going to plant these individually, and you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is catch it at the right time so that you don't have to plant these individually, especially if you have a lot. But if you just have a few, 100 or so, hey, by all means, let the false leaves come out, plant them individually. Or you can just go ahead and plant them in an individual pot or multiple plants in one pot. And then you can come back later on and transplant them. Now, I don't know what your experience is, but mine is that most plants do pretty well with transplanting, and after they've been transplanted, they actually do a lot better than if they germinated in the soil initially. Okay, so transplanting can be a good thing for you too. All right, so we're going to go back around here. Well, we've got our setup in place, and if you remember, I did the repotting of this plant, and it was an air layer also off of that big tree, and it has flowers setting on it, and I'm hoping for new buds, back growth on this. And here we have some under here. This is relatively new. The older branches are setting out new divisions, so that's pretty good. And I was hoping for something along there, because that's just a long stretch of a highway that nobody wants to travel because it's boring and long and kind of straight. So anyway, so that's doing pretty well. So here we go, and we're walking. Oh, you can take a good look now. See that Trident maple tree right there? And if, well, I don't know if you can zoom in, but if you see the bold cuts in it, that's where I've been hacking stuff. So this is what we're looking at. We're going to plant these seeds in this bed, and I've kind of done some work to show you if you choose to plant it in the ground. My ground is warm right now. As a matter of fact, when I was excavating this, I could feel the heat rise up out of here. We had a rain all night from about 4 yesterday evening until about 8:30 or 9 o'clock today. Some steady rain, and that's great. So the soil is moist. It's not wet because this is Florida sugar sand and it does not hold water. kind of like some people I know. So anyway, there are different ways you can plant your seeds, okay? We're going to plant this in the ground. And as I mentioned, I've got a planting area out back, which is giant. It used to be a roadside sign. You remember the signs that you would see on the side of the road in front of restaurants or buildings that were kind of like on a little dolly or trailer? Well, the sign is about 4 feet, about 8 feet. And I use 1/2 of that to make the tray, drilled holes in it. It has depth and it has volume. So that's what I use, but it's way back there and I actually have some stuff in it and I need to clean it up. But we're going to use the natural ground, which is good. Why? Because it has heat, okay, that will rise up and that will be just perfect. Now, you could use bread crates, drink crates, and line it with the old cheap ground cover fabric. You know, this stuff you can get out of the neighborhood store. $7 for this roll. Or you can get good ground cover fabric, and I just happen to have run out of that. Or you can use black plastic and poke holes in that. Part of the reason I want to use this fabric, it lets the water sink through it, but it holds the weeds out. Now, excavating it took a lot of the roots and grasses, and I've got plum tree roots that are back sprouting, so I got rid of that. So that'll hold that down for me to keep it clean until I can take my seedlings out, and after that it doesn't matter, okay? But if you're going to reuse the same area as a growing bed, then yeah, you really want to put something down. You can take newspaper, put it down. It will break down over time, and then put your cheap ground cover over it, or you can go to your local nursery and perhaps they'll sell you some of this good ground cover. You've seen that different places with the green lines. They come in red lines also, depending on the mill and the specifications for that particular ground cover fabric. This allows moisture to penetrate, and so it won't pool or puddle like my plastic does, okay? So what I do with the plastic is I poke holes in it when I have to use plastic as a ground cover so that it does not create a mosquito problem and other pathogens or pests. So again, the ground cover is up to you, or don't use ground cover at all. Save yourself some money. In the past, I've lined these crates with the very bags that I get my soil from, okay? And I poke holes in it if they need it, and I line it, put my soil in it, and I'm good to go until I get my seedlings out. So you can use any of these, all right? And of course, like I said, you can use individual pots. I would not really use deep pots like this for your seedlings. You can use those, but cut them down to a lower depth, about 6 inches, 8 inches maybe. A gallon pot, yeah, you'll be fine with a gallon pot to manipulate that, but you won't be able to put the volume of seeds in it as you would a larger container. And again, these are cuttings that are rooting, and these are the drink trays, like there. Okay, so you see the plastic right here. That's all I do, simple and easy. So what we're going to do is spread this bottom layer of sand out. This is my filler, okay? That's what this is primarily for, just to take up some space. It's going to help the soil and give depth so that the seeds will perform better. When it comes to the seeds and plants, it's not just simply about giving it sunshine and water. You have to control the temperature also. And part of what the sand is going to do, along with the moisture that it will hold with the other soil mixture, is the temperature. It will help the temperature. These seeds are sprouting now. They're coming out of their dormancy, and they're going to need a bit of heat. Not blasting, killing heat, but a bit more warmth than that. I think about 37, 38 degrees in that crisper, somewhere in there. Okay, so, and the warmth is going to drive the seedlings to continue its little journey onto its life as a tree. So what we're going to do is spread this medium out, put some of this stuff in there, and in my can here I've got mycorrhizome. I'm going to spread that on the layer right where I've spread the seedlings, okay? And then I'll cover those up. Now again, with these, they will auto-correct. So I'm not worried about planting them with the roots down in the soil and this and that. If I had the leaves on them, then I would make sure that I would place the roots in the soil and the leaf at least above the soil. It may touch the soil depending on how long the root is, cotyledon is, and how much of the leaf is exposed. So there's no perfection in it. You just do the best you can with placing the seedling that has sprouted and are showing leaves above the soil. You do the best you can, and with the sunshine it will help direct the new growth. So I'm going to try to set this camera down as I head on in to spread this stuff out. How's that? Is that right? I've seen worse, and I've seen better. That's about $3.27 for that bag. I was just smoothing it over to even it out, so all of the seed will have about the same depth coverage. Just as easy as that. So So I've got a bag and a half of those seeds left. And that's as simple as it is. And yeah, they're already sprouted. About 90% of them are actually sprouted, so that's a pretty good percentage. I've sold these seeds over the years, and I would get folks complaining that they wouldn't germinate. And I think why? I mean, whether it was a complaint or whatever, I don't care. What I care about is understanding why would not the seeds germinate, okay? Why did they not germinate? And I go back to my experience, and that's being initially when I started germinating my own seeds years and years ago, okay? I did just like everybody else, you know. I went online and looked, and they were saying, use a hot water soak. Well, how in the world can you keep the water hot for 3 days? okay? There's no way. People have to go to work, and it's ridiculous. In 3 days, you cook the seeds, okay? The phrasing and terminology didn't sit with me. And I'm thinking, what in the world are they trying to say? Tap water, just your regular sink water, your spigot, your faucet, whatever part of the country you're from, or your well water, okay? You don't want it to be cold, but you know, short sleeve weather kind of temperatures or whatever, 50 degrees, something like that. Think in those terms. You don't want the water to be chilled, but you don't need boiling hot water off of the stove to steep the seeds, although some seeds require that. Some seeds require fire to start their process, to break their germination. So what I learned is, for the most part, it turned out to be my impatience. Instead of me waiting long enough for the seeds to get the cold time in the crisper that they needed to break that germination cycle, I'm looking at it every day, every other day, you know, or whatever. And as I open the container, I'm losing moisture. And when the seeds dry out, guess what? They're going to lock down that dormancy cycle even harder. So predominantly, the problem is impatience. Yeah, we have a learning curve that we have to overcome, but generally speaking, if you wait long enough, if you're saying that everything is set up properly, the right moisture levels, they're in the crisper, not the freezer. They're in the crisper, not the open compartment of the fridge that you go in and out of every day, dropping the temp. Then the seeds will germinate 3 or 4 months, okay? Now, I have worked through this thing, and I can get my seeds to germinate even faster than the 3 months. These right here, these are 4 months old, okay, from the time I harvested them, and when I saw the first sprout, it was 3 months, but I've let them go even further because I'm just making a video. I mean, I like seeing this stuff grow, but I don't need any more Trident maple trees. So I'm just making the video, and when these sprout up, I'll do something with them. You know, I'm not going to just turn the soil over and burn them or something, but I've got plenty. So it's just that when it comes to germinating these seeds, you have to be patient, okay? You may think that you've done something wrong, and quite frankly, you probably have not, except patience. Exercise patience. So I'm not really covering how to germinate the seeds because I've done that on other videos. There are plenty of videos to show you how to germinate the seeds, and I'm just here to say you don't have to stick strictly to the soil mix that you use, where you locate your rooting bed or your rooting container. You just have to make sure that you do those things that you're doing consistently and completely. Okay, I made sure all of these seeds are covered well, and after the video, I'm going to water this in. The soil there is moist. The bed or foundation soil is damp also, but I'm going to water these in to make sure everything is well watered and evenly spaced. Plus, that water is going to tamp down this topsoil just a little bit. You notice I did not tamp it down like I did that base layer of the topsoil. So I want the water to tamp that down to help the roots to make contact with the soil. So that's pretty much it. Easy peasy. And again, the difference between what I'm doing now and you taking each seed and putting them in a tray is the leaf. You can't do the seeds that are germinating that have leaves on them like this. You can set the bed out like this, and you can actually put each seed that has leaves on it into that bed, but you have to do that individually. These seeds are still in their seed capsule, but the roots have erupted and they're coming out, so we're good like that. So anyway, I don't know if the top of my head is cut off or whatever, but like like neighbor Wilson. But anyway, that's it. And see that little white paper? That was my moisture trap, just in case things started drying out. I had a little bit of paper in there. This was longer. As I stirred the bag up, it broke. This would trap moisture to retain some of that so my seeds wouldn't dry out. So hopefully you can see that there are leaves in here. The wings are still on. And I've got probably 75 to 80% of these are sprouting. So that's a pretty good blast right there. All right, I hope that makes sense to you, and hope you get something out of it. And I guess after these sprout out, I'll come back and revisit this spot. And you know how I am. I'm always showing something else. I took a trip a few days ago and I dug this Brazilian rain tree and brought it back with me. So I potted it up, watered it in, and I went and I guess you can say I hibernated. I passed out from being tired for a few hours, but it rained behind that, and I'm happy about it. I've got this tied to this crepe myrtle to help stabilize it, and I've got the bricks in there. And I've got this other one right here. And I've got it tied to that cherry tree. But once these recover, I'll start air layering on them, chopping them down, doing whatever. But as they say, those things are a pain. Yeah, because they got 2-inch thorns on them. So, once again, Trident maples. This is a field dug tree starting to sprout out. I got sprouts over there, over there. So I'm getting some action here, as large as this is in that tub, and for as much as I left up top versus cutting it down into that area and reworking it. But hey, I do what I can. And my Japanese red maples are coming along pretty good, getting some size on them. This is what I was saying when I was talking about you could plant the seeds into individual pots, something like this. You can probably plant 5, 1 in each corner and 1 in the center, either the sprouting seeds or the seeds with the leaves on it. And once they get up and going, pull them from the pot each one separately, and that way, if you have loss, you won't waste your soil. That's part of why I do what I do. Do it on the cheap and understand what I'm doing, and that makes a difference. Yep, that makes a difference. I like that. That's a couple of boxwood I dug this past fall, letting them regrow and reestablish. So anyway, there's always more to do. The Japanese maple tree there is the air layer, and it's holding its own. It had 1 root on it, and that's the trunk of it, the base of it. See the buds here swelling. How about that daylight saving time jazz? I wish they quit that. But I know just as soon as I turn this camera off, I'm going to see something I wanted to show you. But anyway, I don't show this Naruto very much here. That is a Naruto. Ace of Bergeron Naruto. And you might think that it needs moisture. This is just the way it rolls, these crinkly leaves. And as I said, it rained from yesterday about 4 until this morning about 9, and I had watered this the day before that. So got plenty of water, plenty of moisture. But yeah, this is just the way that this grows. So Naruto. So anyway, all right. I guess that's enough messing around. Have a good day. Okay, to protect your bed, you want to cover it up with something. If you have bread crates like this or drink carts, initially, when the seeds are not sprouting out of the soil yet, you can place it like this. Once they sprout up a little bit, then you can turn them over. Then you can find something and block that. You know, bricks or landscape trimming, piece of wood, anything, even more fabric, to keep the squirrels, the birds, and other critters out. So I'll be turning these over like those, and that'll save me some anguish. All right. Here we are, not too long after sowing these seeds, the Trident maples. We've got plants coming up. Not an overabundance of them, but we have a few seeds poking through nonetheless. Okay, and these were the seeds that were cold treated or stratified, and we've got this, and they had the roots starting to poke out from the seeds themselves, and that's how I planted them. And now you can see some of the leaves showing through. There are a few more over there, and I can see from this angle, I can see some over there. So it's not taking very long, and from my angle I can see the soil mounding up in different places, so seeds will break through. I wasn't very gentle or scientific or careful about sowing the seeds. I just threw them out, and of course some of the wings stuck together with the moisture. Even in this corner there's seeds down in there, but again, it's effective enough. And there you have it. Now again, if the seeds had sprouted leaves, I would have taken each individual seed and placed it where the root end was in the soil, and I would have made sure the soil was not overly compact but nice and firm, and I would have had to plant each seed like that. So that's that. And now I'll take these crates and invert them, and also to prevent the critters from getting into them, I'll block the ends up. So now I won't have to worry about the trees growing through the bottom of the crate. So there you have it. Like I said, I had these seeds in the cooler for about 4 months, and they're doing pretty good so far. Also, early in the year, I took some of the Trident maple seeds and sowed them directly into a pot, and a good number of those came up. So, but again, in this area, and I'm in Northwest Florida, even though we do get freezes here and cold, this year 2023 was 2022-23 cold season was exceptionally cold. So we'll see how that goes when I try this next year. So anyway, there we have it. Hold on. Okay, these Trident maples were directly sown into that pot, and you can see the little trees there, all through there, and on that side also. Yep, so I thought I sowed some Japanese green maples in here also. It really didn't matter what the seeds were. I just wanted to see if they would sprout straight from the tree, and those seeds came off of that tree right there. So you can sow directly into the soil. I've actually tried sowing seeds direct in the back, and I didn't have any success. But again, this is well watered day in, day out, and even with the rain and some watering on the warm days of winter, I'm sure the seeds were soaked well enough that it made a difference. And again, the exceptional cold hours we had this winter. I also sowed some of the seeds back here This area is a lot more shaded. It's cooler, and I've got a probably 3 or 4 days difference between sowing the seeds I put in here with the ones I just showed you that are already sprouted and are heading. I see one root right there. But again, I would expect this would be slower. I see a root right there on the top trying to turn back under. This area is well shaded, and we had rain a couple of days ago, a real good rain, and last night we got down to 38, 39 degrees. Tonight will be 32 by early morning. So things will slow down a little bit. And again, this area does not amass much heat. So the little heat that's coming up from the ground is not compared to the area where I videoed earlier. So I'll just keep my eyes on this and see how it does. These are a few grafts I did. Murasaki Kiyohime. I think that's a nice little dwarf spreading plant, Japanese maple. And so I put that on the rootstock of the Japanese green maple. And these I'm making a little bit taller. But this one is going to be, hopefully, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 grafts on this one. So hopefully they'll all take, and I'll get a nice full crown on this relatively quickly. And but anyway, grafting is a way that I plug around here anyway. I think I've got 6 or 7 down there, and I think so far one looks like it's going to fail, the one over there. But Murasaki Kiyohime, Japanese maple. And that's the plant right there. Brilliant color in the spring. See if the view around here is nicer. And of course that is a grafted tree. And you can see from the ground to the bottom branches is all of that is the Japanese green maple, the rootstock, and all of this is a Kiyohime. So that's the graft union right here, which is a very good graft because it tapers in pretty well. And again, look at that. Nice color. So I've taken the scions from this tree and grafted it onto the green maple stock that you saw there.